Hey, you guys, I wanted to do something completely different than I have ever done. And that is to give you a three-part coaching session, if you will. Because some of the things that I'm going to talk about today in particular, I'm going to do three different parts. But today is a really common thing that comes up all the time with my clients. And they come to me with problems, right? So behavior issues like my kids struggle to sit still while we're eating dinner and it's really disruptive and it's really frustrating. Or it's things like my kids don't get along and it's so frustrating because all they do is bicker. But it doesn't matter really what kind of issue you're dealing with. Every single kid wants the same thing. Because I can confidently say that because it's not just what kids want, it's part of human needs. So every single human wants the same thing. But before I get started, I want to tell you something about myself. I just have to confess because so these are my kids, right? Here's my family, my three boys. This is Titus. He is 8. This is Levi. He just turned 14. This is Micah. He's 7. It's my husband Josh and me. But here's the thing. I love these guys, my kids, more than anything in the world. Obviously, I love my husband. That it goes without saying. He's my number one. But, well, Jesus is my number one. Then Josh, then my kids. But I love my sons so much. Like, there's not an ounce in my being that doesn't love them. I have goo eyes for them every single morning when I see them and I go and I greet them good morning with their stinky breath and all the things. But here's what happens. Here's what I want to tell you. Here's my confession. Even though I love them that much, it does not stop me from getting frustrated at them, from yelling at them all the time, from feeling like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you just did that, right? My love does not mean that I'm perfect, that I'm a perfect mom. And in the era of social media and Pinterest and all the things, we are often, and I'm including myself here, we are often left to feel like we are failing, like we're not good enough because we do yell, because we do get frustrated, because we do want to go on vacations without them, because we do need breaks. And then you see all these other moms that are like, oh, I never need a break for my kids. Listen, I homeschool my kids. I'm with them 24/7. So it is an honor and a privilege for me to be with them all the time. But here's what I want to talk about today in addition to this. Is there something that you can do in your daily life to help you reset this button when you feel yourself reaching that boiling point? Because even though you love your kids probably just as much as I do, right? It doesn't mean that you're not going to get frustrated with them and lose your cool whenever they're not listening to you and not putting their shoes on like you asked them to, and you're going to be late again, and all the things that are a reflection of you and your commands and your instructions as a mom. I'm going to tell you a little story. So this is how much I love my kids. Josh, when he couldn't believe I did this, but whenever Levi, my oldest, was born, I had him naturally. Well, it really doesn't matter because either way, the kid comes out super bloody and nasty, right? I'm sorry, TMI, if you're a dad, like you watched it most likely. But they came out all dirty. Babies come out all dirty. And I was so overwhelmed with emotions when I laid eyes on my son, my firstborn. Like, I am a mom. I looked at him, his cone head and all, because first I'm pushing it, I don't know what I'm doing, and I had to push for like 55 minutes, and it was this huge struggle. But as soon as he came out, I just kissed him. And Josh looked at me and he was like, that is disgusting. And later on, he's like, I could not believe you kissed Levi all bloody and all nasty. And I'm like, dude, and I'm like tearing up remembering this. I'm like, dude, you don't understand the love. We just carried this child inside of us for so long, for all these months, waiting to hold, to touch, to smell, to feel that baby in our arms. And then here's the moment. I don't even care. He's all bloody and nasty. What's inside? for me for all those months. It was such an exciting time. But then what happens is life happens, right? And the frustrations, and I keep pointing over here because I want to go back to this thing. Like, this is what your kid wants. This is what I want. It doesn't matter who it is. This is what every person wants, is that sense of belonging, right? It's that love. It's that, sorry, this thing is super flimsy over here. So what every kid wants is connection. What everybody wants is to belong. That is a human need of every single person in the entire world, according to psychology and according to social psychologists and behavior psychologists. Everybody wants connection. And so in our daily life, just like whenever I first laid eyes on Levi, and my heart was like, I connected with him. And it was so intimate, and it was so beautiful, and it was so holy, like this awe moment of this being is a miracle, because after him, I didn't even know it. I had 3 miscarriages. And then when my next one came around, Titus, it was like a whole new meaning of what a miracle life is and what an honor it is to be a mom. But that does not discount the fact that I get so frustrated at them sometimes, that I get so overwhelmed at their noise level and their like ding dong things that they do. And I'm like, you should know better. But you know what? If my focus inside my home, regardless of what life brings, regardless of the frustrations, if it's connection, if I remember that the number one thing that my kid wants from me is connection, then you know what? I can always go back to this awe, this moment of, man, I just need to love my kid right now. Okay, so today I want to touch on a few things with you that it won't be very long, because I know you're a mom. I know you're busy. I'm busy too. And in fact, my kids are outside of my office right now, and I told them, hey, I'm going to record real quick, so be quiet. So I understand that life is crazy. I'm right there with you. I wanted to tell you a little bit about me and why I'm even bringing this up to you today. So my name is Kelly. Obviously, here I am. I showed you my family, Josh, Levi, Titus, Micah. That's what I do as far as personally, but also professionally. I'm an educational researcher. I also have a podcast called Parenting IQ. And what I do on a daily basis is read tons of stuff, science, scientific, academic, journal articles, books from medical doctors, MDs, and all these other really, in Josh's word, all these nerds. I am a nerd. But then what I do is come to you, my wonderful people. If you're listening to the Parenting IQ, I call you lifelong learner, because that's what I am too. But I come and present this information to you in really practical ways. So just like I'm telling you that according to research, connection is what people want, I want to practically help you see what connection can look like in your home. So that's my goal. That's my life mission, is to increase your connection in your home. Because essentially, yeah, I know that life is busy and I know a lot of things happen. But what I'm seeing right now is that families are becoming very distracted because of social media, because of this thing that's in our pockets at all times. It's constantly dinging and drawing our attention. Now our kids are having access to phones and tablets and video games and all these things. And what's happening is that families are drifting apart. And the issue with that is that it's creating this huge gap for the enemy to come in and increase anxiety and the mental health state crisis of our kids. They're being attacked. And so now they're anxious, they're depressed, they are so insecure, they're so fearful, they no longer take risks. You know, there are books about the anxious generation, and that's what we're starting to see as researchers. And so we're like crying out to parents to awaken you and to partner with you in ways that you can come in and bridge that gap in your home. So that's my goal. That is my mission, and all of my work that I do is to come alongside you, parent, so you can feel equipped and empowered and prepared to partner with your kids, okay? To increase this connection, because that is what it's all about. So, one of the things I wanted to really highlight today in ways that you can increase connection is there is something about stimulation. Okay, I know it's a big word, but think of it like this. Okay, so there's something about stimulation. And we often hear this word talking about kids and thinking about, oh, he's overstimulated, or whenever they have a tantrum or they have a meltdown, whenever they're at Target, it always happens at Target for some reason, and they lose their cool. We often think, like mom and dad, when you're in the middle of it, you're like, oh my gosh, this kid just needs to shut up. Like, be quiet. I just need one more thing. I just came for this one thing. I need to clean the toilet. Just be quiet. Let's get it and go. Which is not, I know it's not often what you're doing at Target. I understand. You're probably browsing the swimsuit aisle and all the other things. But there's something about stimulation, and practically speaking, stimulation comes with our senses, right? So we have our eyes and what we see, our visual stimulation. We have our touch and what we touch, and that is a sense, right? Then a sensory. We have our taste buds. And oftentimes I put a mint in my mouth when I'm driving, and it's just this burst of taste and flavor in my mouth, and my taste is awakened, which also awakens my brain, and then I can pay attention while I'm driving. We also have our sense of hearing. And this is the one that oftentimes really sends our kids, especially those that come to me and they're like, my kids fight all the time. Like, oh, what is happening to the noise level inside your home? And because that's sending your kids to this place that they can no longer process. That's really what happens. In fact, I'm going to give you an example here. Whenever kids get off screens, okay, it doesn't matter how long they spent in front of a screen. And this is also with you, people in general. Do you notice that they are a little moodier, a little sour? Well, that's because there has been so much visual stimulation to your kids that whenever they turn it off, they actually have to transition into this state of, oh, now my senses are no longer constantly hearing ding, 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 reward here, you just got a new star, and all these rewards, these dopamine hits constantly that makes us happy, that makes us feel like, yeah, I accomplished something. When they get off the screen and there's silence, and it's no longer this like thing after thing after thing after thing after thing coming at your kid, their brain actually has to transition back into real life. So it's important for you to set boundaries. Not what I'm going to talk about. Okay, I'm not touching on boundaries, but I want to touch on one way that you can come in and bridge this gap to increase connection in your home, whether that's between you and your child, whether that's between the siblings or your husband when he gets home. Here's one of the big things that I want to warn you about today for this video alone is the environment that you create is so essential to the connection, to the stimulation. All of these pieces come back to your environment. Do you ever notice that if you are extremely stressed out, right, your stimulation is at a very stressed out level? Do you notice that you yell a whole lot more? You are very short with your kids. But then not only that, if you really paused and paid attention to however long it's been, let's say that you've been stressed out for the last 3 days because there's a big deadline at work or a big project that your kids needing to work on, or if you're a homeschooling mom, there's been a lot of things happening, your kids not wanting to do math and the siblings are fighting and you can't get them going motivated in the morning, which that's going to be day 3, lesson 3. So just a little hint there. We're going to be talking about motivation and routines. But if you are in a state of constantly nagging and yelling, the connection in your home decreases. And you also hear your kids and your spouse, between y'all two and between the dad and the kids and you and the kids, like this entire circle. It's like the circle of life is at that level of stressed out, volume at 100. And I have this saying, and I really stand by it, is that the mom is the heartbeat of the home. You, mom, have an opportunity to create a happy environment in your home. You have the opportunity to create a place that is everyone's safe haven, that the connection is through the roof. Doesn't mean that it's perfect. Listen, I started this video with the confession that I yell at my kids, that I reach this overstimulation point, that I have too much and then I explode and then they explode back at each other. And it's again this cycle that the entire home environment is, I can then bring us back down, because we are super emotionally aware. We are the ones that are most likely home more. This is not stereotypical. I understand there are different homes that maybe the dad is the homeschooling dad and whatever. Like, this is generally speaking, okay? The mom is the one, if you do homeschool, the mom is the one homeschooling, the mom is the one, taking care. I have a title for myself, and I often tell my clients this. So we're the house managers. We are managing diaper duties. We are managing ordering food, if any, ingredients for the meals of the week. We are managing the bills. Even if we're not paying them, we see them come in from the mail, like all these other things. We're managing our home. So in your management, you can decide what kind of environment you are going to create in your home. So for just today, I want you to have a takeaway that you can take with you. For video 1, okay, we are talking about the number one thing that our kids want, which is connection. The number one thing your husband wants is connection. And I'm not just talking about that kind of connection, although I guarantee you that's what he wants too. But that environment bleeds into this area of connection. So if you find yourself constantly yelling at your kids, here's something that you can do today. As soon as you stop this video, you can turn around and think this forever, okay? When you start sensing your stimulation, when you sense your stimulation rising and you can tell you're about to burst, do this one thing. You walk away from wherever you are, okay? So if you are let's say that you are in the kitchen and the dishes are piled up and you look on the couch, you turn around and you see the pile of laundry, and then you hear your kids bickering, right? So there's like auditory stimulation, this visual overstimulation that's really creeping up. And you are like, oh my gosh, it's all on my shoulders. I have so much to do and my kids won't be quiet. Like all of this, you just pause, drop everything right there. Of course, if your kids are safe and not about to make each other bleed or whatever. And you can go and walk away, depending on your kids' ages. So I go outside. Outside is my reset place for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, I'm in nature. I step barefoot in grass, so I'm grounding, I'm taking deep breaths, all of the benefits that I'm getting from being out in nature too. It's actually it's free, but it is one of the best ways for you to emotionally regulate yourself in your environment. So you just walk outside and you sit there for as long as it takes for you to start recognizing that your stimulation is going back. So you're emotionally regulated, right? So you're regulating yourself before you explode, before you start nagging, before you start yelling. And if you start doing this one thing, you will start benefiting right away by having a happier home. I know that you don't want to have a home full of chaos and nagging and yelling and constant reminders and all these other things. As an ADHD mom, if you are impacted by ADHD in any way, which I am personally, and also I'm parenting ADHDers as well. What happens is this already is an area of delay. Okay, so that emotional regulation is an area of delay, which means that you are more explosive and you are quicker to jump the gun, right? You're quicker to explode. You're quicker to nag, but you can train your brain. That is the beauty of our brain. God is so creative. He created the brain as a muscle, and you can, just like you lift weights to work out your muscles, you also need to work out your brain. So changing the environment for you to regulate your senses, your stimulation, will then increase connection in your home. You'll nag less, you will yell less, and you will connect more with your kids and as a family. And ultimately, that's the number one thing your kid wants, okay, is that connection. So today, if you start boiling up, just change your environment. Go outside, go to your closet, lock yourself in the bathroom, whatever it is. Find a way for you to change your environment, because then it bleeds into the rest of the home. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I want to tell you that on Wednesday, I'm going to release part 2 of this video series that I'm doing. As I told you, it's a 3-part series that I'm releasing. Never done this before, so we'll see. I'm super excited about it. Again, these are things that I hear all the time from my coaching clients, and these are things that we are talking about inside Mom IQ community. We are going to be doing a founding members launch starting next week. And so we're going to open the cart on Monday. And I wanted to tell you kind of a little bit of the things that you could expect inside that space. I know that there's a lot of transformation happening from the people that I've worked with. And it's beautiful. Like, I sit and I cry with moms, whether it's in the frustration or then in the celebration, because we see the fruit of increasing the connection in the home. That is what your kids need. That is what you need. Ultimately, your long-term goal, this legacy that you're building with your kids and as a family, is that you want your kids to keep coming home, right? After they grow up and they move out and they go on. One of my biggest goals of being an adult mom, like a mom of adult children, is that I want them to come over on a Sunday afternoon and hang out on my back porch. I want my porch to be the loudest, full of life, and my adult children and their wives, because one day they're going to be husbands, and all their kids. Like, I want everyone to come home. And so that starts with me creating this environment, this happy home environment, where the connection is so deep that they keep coming back. And so again, here's part 1. Next time, we're going to continue the conversation, and I hope to see you again. I hope I didn't go too long. So 24 minutes, about 25 minutes. And if you need to rewatch this, pause this. That's why I wanted to record it. That way you could watch it as often as you needed. But come back on Wednesday for part 2 of this series, and I'll see you then.